Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to just play with vector fields, and I want to encourage you to play with vector fields. Get on a grapher and just see what kind of things you can do. Sometimes you're just sort of trying formulas and seeing what happens. Sometimes you start thinking about how can you get something to work here. So I'm starting here, for instance, with just a constant vector field, 1 in the x component, 0 in the y component at every point. So you just got all these little arrows pointing off to the right. And I want to just kind of try some different things here. One of the things uh, I'm sort of aiming towards the idea of looking at water flowing in a river, where maybe it's a little slower on the sides and faster in the middle. But I'm going to try some different things here. First thing I want to think of trying is just changing it so that some of this water is going, some of these are longer. So, if you think of this as velocity, they're going faster and some of them slower. So I need to change the x component of each one. I still want to keep them all horizontal here. So I'm going to add a sign. And I want it to change as I go up and down. So I wanted to add a sign of y, I think. Yeah. So some of these now get to be of length 2. Of course, they're all scaled down so that you can actually see what's going on. But some of these get longer and then some of them are shorter. In fact, I would assume they get down to a length 0 because when sine of y is equal to -1, so for instance at 2 pi over 3, yeah, the 1 plus -1 would be 0. I could actually make this go negative if I changed to, throw a 2 in there. Yeah, so 1 plus 2 sine y gets as big as 3, but gets as low as -1. So for a while it's going one way, and down here you see these arrows actually pointing in the other direction. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. But that's not really what I'm after. What I'm after is just flow in one area. And so I don't want to do just backwards and forwards like this. I actually want to try something, come on now, where I'm going to make it so that the function's not even defined outside of where I want my river to be. So if I do something like this, if I do like a square root of, let's say, 4 minus, what do I want? Y minus 2 squared. Oops. Yeah. So what I have here is the square root of 4. Just this part of it I'm thinking of as, I think z equals this thing. This would be a cylinder essentially, defined between 0 and 4. It's essentially a radius 2 circle centered at -2, but it's in the zy plane, right? So it's sticking out. So where the z value is higher here, that's making the vectors longer. And here it's 0 on the end. Well, actually not 0. The square root is 0, but then you're adding 1. So actually if I came in here and changed that 1 to a +0, so this would actually get down to, yeah, so this is a 0 here and there, getting to as big as, I think, 2 along the middle here. So this is kind of the idea I have of this river flowing. It may not be actually stopped at the edges, which is why I can give that, some non-zero velocity on the edges. you ever seen a stream that's perfectly straight? If you have, then that's probably a man-made stream. I think about the back of my property is right along a ditch between farmers' fields, and they maintain it every year. They keep it nice and straight. There's no meander to this little stream. It's the outflow. Yeah, it's the outflow of the lake nearby, and it divides the farmland up here. But generally, rivers, they wiggle. They don't go in a straight line. So it's like I'm thinking, can I make this? Actually, what I'd like to do is I try to make it go all the way around in a circle. I don't know that I can do that without some real serious experimenting, but I think I can get things to go up and down. Because, for instance, if I just change, so now I'm breaking away from saying, hey, I want these all going horizontal. Let me try going up and down a little bit. So I can go up and down a little bit by changing the y component of these vectors, maybe giving that a sign, and I want it to change as I'm going across. So that's going to be a sign of x. Oh yeah. That's not quite what I wanted, but I could see that I've got flow going up a little bit and then down and then up. But I want the whole river to go up and down. The thing is, this square root is still only defined for y values between 0 and 4. So I need to shift to the center of this. Ooh, maybe I can do this. So rather than just shifting it 2, what's going on here? Instead of y minus 2, maybe if I shift it by some amount of sign, let's just try doing a sine of x. So the same amount that I'm deflecting the y value of the curve there, of the y value of the vector, I will shift the center of that circle as well. Is that going to work? Oh, well, yeah, I think it did. I think we're up here. It looks a little funny. Maybe that's too much of a shift. Let's give that a little bit smaller amplitude, like maybe like 0.25 or something. Maybe, I don't know. So now I've got the edge going up and down. This is the kind of thing that you need to do to build. I see it as building vocabulary, right? You haven't played with vector fields very much. You don't know many examples. So sit down and experiment. See what kind of examples you can come up with. Again, sometimes you're just going to be playing. You're just going to be trying different things. And then it's going to be close to something that looks pretty cool. And you go, oh, can I tweak it a little bit to make it just what I want? And that's when you start to figure out how to get these formulas to do things you want them to do. I could, for instance, make this a not so wide a river by changing the 4 in there to something smaller. So if I cut this down to, let's say, a 1, I think that would essentially be a circle of radius 1. So rather than radius 2, I'm going to be only radius 1, so it'll be diameter 2. Yeah, so now I got a more narrow river. You can see the flow of the stream going back and forth. I'm chuckling just because it's just so much fun to do this, to be able to think about how am I gonna get this to do the things I want it to do. How do I get it to change in the x direction? How do I get it to change in the y direction? Yeah, it's fun stuff. I still want to see if somehow I can figure out how to get it all the way around in a circle, but yeah, not in this video. So play. Get yourself on one of these graphers and play. See what kind of vector fields you can come up with. It's a lot of fun and you'll learn a lot. There you go. Enjoy.